Okay. So where we're at tonight is it is chapter 2 in the original edition, not the edited version. We're in the original edition, sometimes referred to as the Hewlin Casey version. And chapter 2, the first section, and chapter 2 is called The Illusion of Separation. And this is the introduction. All right, does everybody see it? Okay, wonderful. All right, so it says this section deals with the fundamental misuse of knowledge referred to in the Bible as the cause of the fall or the separation. Interesting, the misuse of knowledge as referred to in the Bible. He says, there are some definitions which I asked you to take from the dictionary, which will be helpful here. So here the author is talking to the scribe and her scribing partner, okay, Helen and Bill. He's saying to them, I asked you to take from the dictionary some definitions, which will be helpful here. And these definitions are somewhat unusual since they are not the first definitions which are given in the dictionary. Nevertheless, the fact that each one of these definitions does appear in the dictionary should be reassuring. Interesting, huh? He says, so those words are project as a verb, which means to extend forward or out. And the other one is project, a noun, like a project, a plan in the mind. And then the other definition was world, which according to the dictionary they looked into was a natural grand division. Isn't that a great definition of the world that they found in the dictionary? And the author asked them to look up world. A natural grand division. Kind of like a world of difference between us kind of thing. Okay? Then he says, we will refer later to projection as related to both mental health and mental illness. That's interesting. Interesting connection between projection and mental health or mental illness. And we have already observed that man can create an empty shell, but man cannot create nothing at all. Okay, well that's good to know that I may get low. I may create an empty shell, but I can't not create anything at all. All right, that's good to know. And he says, and this emptiness of the empty shell that man may try to create, this empty shell within himself provides the screen for the misuse of projection. It's interesting. So it's like basically, if I don't see somebody as they really are, if I just see an empty shell like a body, if I only see their body, then that totally lends itself perfectly to projecting my beliefs onto them. If I saw a full and complex being in that body, it would be harder for me. If I really saw who you are, aside from your body, then it'd be harder for me to project onto you. So seeing an empty shell is perfect for the ego's, only seeing a body is perfect for the ego's purposes of just being able to project onto people as it would do, right? Okay. So it's talking about a little bit about projection. Then it talks about the Garden of Eden. It says the Garden of Eden, which is described as a literal garden in the Bible, was not an actual garden at all. Gee, what could it have been? I'm sorry, there was something in the Bible that's not... Okay. It says the Garden of Eden, which is described as a literal garden in the Bible, was not an actual garden at all. What was it? The Garden of Eden was merely a mental state of complete need-lack. Let's imagine that for a moment, shall we? Okay. It was a mental state of complete need-lack. I love the phrase, need-lack. Need-lack. It sounds like Aflac. Need-lack. I need some lack. I need because I got some lack. And because I got lack, I got some need. I got need lack. I got some need lack in my knee. You know, so I was like, I got some need lack. What you got going on? So I got a bad case of need lack. No, not the need lack. Oh no. Didn't you get a shot for that? Apparently not. Okay. So the Garden of Eden was a mental state of complete need lack. There was no need. No need. No lack. No need. Wow. Wouldn't that be nice to experience a mental state like that again? And have another Garden of Eden in your own mind. The Garden of Eden is a mental state. A mental state where there's a complete lack of need. How nice. Wouldn't that be nice to even experience for a few minutes? Occasionally. How was your day? It was a total Garden of Eden. I just absolutely had a lack of need all day. Nice! Nice! And how would you like to have that experience, not just on a weekend or not just on vacation? How about as a regular event, a regular experience? The Course calls that a holy instant. What's a holy instant? It's a mental state of complete need lack. Right? It's a holy instant where you realize you are the thing you seek. And you are connected to the source of everything, and that's just the truth. Yes?
Of the first three illusions that our culture teaches, the first, of course, and root is need. The one that's missing here is the idea that failure is part of the equation, is like woven in.
Mm-hmm.
Then is the idea of disunity that is the third illusion, and then the fourth is the one our culture hangs on and hangs itself on, which is the idea that insufficiency is actually real.
That's right. That is what the Course says it's what the whole entire ego is based on.
Correct.
Exactly.
And it's the next level above the structure of need.
Yes.
But in order to access it, we have to go through affirming that we're one with the all.
Exactly.
That every single thing we do comes out of our winning and of actually achievement, no matter what the appearance is.
Yes.
We create each moment, and then need is so simple. It's a matter of affirming in every single moment that there's plenty more where that came from.
Amen.
The sufficiency is
Amen.
totally 100% infinity.
Yes.
At every moment.
Amen to that. And that awareness, that mental state that holds that awareness, that would be what our teacher is calling the Garden of Eden. Like, truly, if you allow yourself to accept that truth, allow it to be true for you, meaning you accept it, then that's what you experience. Nice. And he says, even in the literal account, it is noteworthy that the pre-separation state was essentially one in which man needed nothing. That's the pre-separation state, before we separated, before the fall. Okay? The Course calls the fall the detour into fear. He could also say the detour into the belief in lack. Okay? So, then it says the tree of knowledge, the quote tree of knowledge, he puts that in quotes, is also an overly literal figure. Oh, there was no real tree? Oh. I'm mad. Okay. It was an overly literal figure, the tree. Okay. He says, these concepts, the Garden of Eden, the tree, these concepts needed to be clarified before the real meaning of the separation or the detour into fear can be fully understood. Okay. So for whatever reason, he needed to talk about the Garden of Eden and the tree of knowledge before we even can go on to talking about the detour into fear or the separation. Wow, interesting. Because in the Bible, the Garden of Eden and the tree of knowledge, that's the part of the story that we are given about the separation. right? And here he is, he's correcting our Genesis myth. You know, how did it all begin? Well, here's our Genesis myth. You know, every culture has the creation myth, right? Some cultures say, oh, we came from a turtle. Oh, we came from the mud. Oh, we came from the stars. Okay, that's nice. Here's ours in the Western Hemisphere. Well, there was a garden, you know, and there was a tree, and, you know, and somebody wanted to have knowledge. The first human wanted to have knowledge, but it's really God's, and God got angry and kicked them out. Oh, and there's something about a woman in there. Of course.
Ribs.
And ribs. Yeah! The story's getting better by the minute. Women, ribs, garden. Something about a woman, and it was her fault, and she stole the guy's ribs. Woo! That's not good.
They were naked.
Okay, yeah. See, now you can see why and how our entire planet became so confused. All right. Okay. So apparently, though, the author wants us to talk about those things before he goes on to talk about the detour into fear or the separation, which is where the whole lack-need story began. Okay? Long time ago. Then it says, he's going back to talking about projecting. He goes, to project, as defined above, is a fundamental attribute of God. Ew, even God's projecting? Didn't know that. Which God gave to us, his souls. And he says, in the creation, God projected his creative ability from himself to the souls he created. Oh, that's the creation. God did what? He projected his what? His creative ability. I love that. What did he project? His creative ability. The ability to create like him. Nice. That's what I got in my creation? I always thought I got a bum deal. Right. I thought I had gotten the reject. Like, oops. So he says, in the creation, God projected his creative ability from himself to the souls he created, and, not only that, he also imbued his souls with the same loving will to create, or to extend, or to be creative. Okay, so I guess that's important. Okay, here's what really happened in creation. You notice it doesn't include anything about a garden, or a tree, or sin, or a woman in ribs, and an exile. It doesn't include anything like that. It just says God projected his own creative ability from himself to his souls, which I love that, and he also imbued them with the same loving will to extend creatively like he did. That's how it all happened, ladies and gentlemen. In case you're wondering how it all came into being. Okay? That was how we came into being. That's the creation, right? And so really that tells us where we came from, why we came into being, and why we came in, how and why we came into being. How did we come into being? God projected his creative ability from himself to all his souls, and then gave them what? A loving will to create or to extend themselves, just like he did. That's what we got in our creation. I have a loving desire to project myself, to extend myself creatively. I have a loving desire or mind to project myself, to extend myself, which in essence is another way of saying my creativity. When you say, oh, express your creativity more. Oh, I want to express my creativity more. I want to be more. What does that mean? It means I want to express myself. I want to extend what's within me forth to souls. You know,
What you're saying is very true. If we look even at this building, it was created. The carpet,
yep, that's
I know
right.
it's fairly simple, but I have never seen it that way before,
Yeah,
until right now.
exactly. And for me, it's very moving because it reminds me of what I am and what I'm here to do. What I was created to be and what I was created to do. Okay, so then it makes me ask myself, where am I stopping my extension of myself? Where am I doing that? Or am I? Am I extending? Am I being creative as I was created to be? I was created to be creative, meaning to extend what's within me out, right? I was created to be creative. Now, where am I not doing that? And so experiencing not being myself, not feeling like myself. If you're not extending who you are somehow, however that is, it doesn't matter, but just creatively. If you're not extending yourself, if you're not taking advantage of having been imbued with a loving will to create along the lines of your own creation, if you're not taking advantage of that and having that as your goal, then what are you going to experience? I'm not myself. I don't know why. I just don't feel like myself. I don't feel fulfilled. I don't know who I am. And I'm bored. And maybe I'm sick because I've got some grievance with myself and I don't even know why. Just not happy, not fulfilled, and I'm just, I just learned that it's because there's something wrong with me. And there's nothing wrong with you. We're just not doing and being what we were created to do and be.
But this is where the separation comes that you just talked about, yes?
Well, isn't creation in itself, it's a level of separation because we're articulating something different than what is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like we're in the shadow of, what you're talking about, how we, between expressing your creativity and going home, in other words, when you're having correct perception through your creativity, you are unseparating, but you're really in the shadow of truth.
Well, I think that's a good point, but I wouldn't necessarily say that. I wouldn't necessarily say that as I extend my being into creation, that I am further separating. I wouldn't say that about myself, and so I wouldn't say that necessarily about God's creation, that it was in essence a separation from God.
Right.
He's referring to the separation as once we were extended from the mind of God, then we forgot where we came from and decided we came from ourself. Hence the metaphor about seeking knowledge. The metaphor of seeking knowledge here is that in the biblical version of the Garden of Eden, man was seeking knowledge from the tree of knowledge, and that was his sin, right? That's that story. Here he's saying that when man was seeking knowledge in the Garden of Eden, it's a metaphor for man wanting to be his own creator and to deny his source and not just extend his source. Does that make sense?
Right.
So it doesn't completely follow that the creation is also just another version of a separation.
Well, when it says God projects,
That's right.
that, doesn't project in itself.
No.
Doesn't
No, it doesn't. And that's what he's doing in this original version. He's giving you a totally new definition of projection. And in the edited version, you don't get that. But in this version, he's saying God himself projected himself. He projected his creative ability. And he's saying there is a correct use of projection. And the correct use of projection is to project your creative ability forth for good.
And
Okay.
that doesn't have anything to do with necessarily after you have separated or taken a bite out of the apple, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have anything to do that with actually going home or you know, being, you know, I mean, what this book is all about is going home.
Right.
So, but it has nothing to do with that because you're not separated yet.
Exactly, right.
Okay.
It's really about going back home to the mental state of complete need lack. There's no lack, there's no need. That's the Garden of Eden, that's home, and that is what our soul is yearning for. Our soul, all the while we are like running away from home into form and into the body and into the world to get something else to add to us, that our soul is like, please, I just want to go home. I just want to go home, don't you? I just want to go home to a state of mind where there is no lack and there is no need and there's rest and there's fulfillment and completion and peace, right? That's home. It's not a physical place like we hear heaven described as a physical place.
So in your description of projection, we should, in our own mind's definition, think of it as a sharing.
Yes.
It doesn't leave us. It comes out of us, but it stays connected
Exactly.
to us.
It's just an extension or a sharing. Exactly.
Because we tend to think, I take my thoughts and project them on them. They leave me. They never do. I keep thinking that.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
But we tend to think that's how we're going to get rid of something, but really that's how we make it bigger.
That's exactly right. It's really how we keep it. And use it to
I've
preserve.
noticed you haven't really spoke much on formalized religion, but for any of us that grew up in a church, these things are not talked about.
I know. Well, I grew up in a synagogue and they weren't talked about there either. You know, absolutely.
And I do believe, though, people had the knowledge, but I think on purpose, it is not delivered to the masses.
That's exactly right. On purpose. For a very good reason. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. That's why I love this course. It's so subversive.
Well, I hope it's opening up our minds.
In a totally socially acceptable
I mean,
way.
to give you a chance. As I was brushing my teeth to rush here,
Yeah.
I chuckled to myself. I'm like, you just want to love yourself more, that's all.
That's right. Exactly. You speaking to your ego?
Well, my ego's always chasing after me.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm starting to get control of it.
Thank God you can hear them.
It's like,
Not everybody can hear the ego's voice. It's still merged with their own voice. And so when you can actually hear its voice and know whom you're hearing, that's a miracle. And you've made a lot of progress to get to that point where you can hear it when it speaks and know whom you are hearing.
but isn't that what you just read about, the creative ability?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Most of us probably will never be tuned into that.
There are some who will
Intellectual.
resist it for a long time. Absolutely. I just don't want to do it myself anymore because it hurts too much. All right, then he says, okay, so God projected his creative ability from himself to his souls that he created. God also imbued his souls with the same loving will to create, or to extend or project themselves. The soul has not only been fully created or extended, but the soul has also been created perfect. What does that mean? To say my soul has been created perfect. And notice he says the soul. And notice when it says, instead of saying the sons of God, he says the souls of God, which is in the original version. The souls of God. I love that. It sounds so, I just love the sound of that even more than the sons of God, okay? So, if the soul has not only been fully created, but has also been created perfect, what does that mean about the soul? It means the soul, there is no emptiness in the soul. There's no emptiness in the soul. You have an empty soul.
Part of the projection is compared to the transference or projection that we do, is the one projects upon us the truth
Yes.
and holds that we are one with the one.
That's
and we
exactly
are love
right.
itself.
And he actually, it's either in this section or shortly after, he actually talks about projecting the truth onto people. But if it's the truth about them, then it's really not a projection, but it is still an extension. So he actually does talk about, you know, you like to project, we love to project. Go ahead and project the truth onto people. Go ahead and project onto them perfection.
Exactly.
Project onto them perfection. What does perfection mean? Does it mean I never make mistakes? Does it mean I do everything just right? No. Perfection means no emptiness. Isn't that beautiful? To say I am perfect is to say there is no emptiness in my soul. I'm not in my soul when I'm experiencing emptiness. I'm looking only at a body. I'm seeing myself as a body. I'm seeing someone else as a body. That's the only way that I could experience emptiness. And then the depression, the sadness, and the grief that comes from feeling an emptiness, right? So he talks about the soul. The soul has not only been fully created, but has also been created perfect. There is no emptiness in the soul. And because of the soul's likeness to its creator, the soul is creative. Oh, my soul is creative. Okay, my soul is creative. Okay, well, what does that mean? To me, that means that my soul is yearning to create, extend itself to souls, to other souls, to the world. Wow. And if I am experiencing emptiness, or the loneliness or the depression that to me there's one with that, synonymous with emptiness, then I am not being creative. I am not being myself. I am not extending my soul. I am not extending myself. I'm just not extending myself. It also means to me that I'm not thinking creatively. I'm not thinking creatively. You know, sometimes you get to the point in your life where you stop asking questions. You stop looking for alternative interpretations. You stop doing things different. You go right just into routine. I mean, I've had phases in my life where I would go, whoa, okay, my life right now is just one big routine. What I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to do. I know what I'm supposed to do, and I know what I'm supposed to do, and and that's what I'm doing. Has anybody ever experienced that? Anyone?
Yes.
Okay. Please don't let me, I will be honest about myself. Don't leave me out here alone. Okay. So I have to look within my own self and say, where am I bored? Where am I unfulfilled? Where do I feel empty? Where do I feel exhausted? Whatever. And I need to ask myself, how am I not thinking creatively? Number one, even before I say, how am I not being creative in form and action, I have to ask myself, how am I not thinking creatively about this anymore? How am I just thinking the way I've always thought about it, and also the way other people told me I should think about it? And so I want to say, okay, in this area of life where I feel bored or unfulfilled, if I was to think really creatively about it, like think about it in a way I'd never thought about it before, and respond to it creatively, what would I be doing differently? And I need to ask myself those questions so that I break the emptiness and the inertia that has been generated from me not being creative as I was created to be. I was created to be creative. Not to follow along or, or just take reality, I was created to create, to extend myself, to extend the new.
So this, it occurred to me, this extension is like an action.
Yes, that's right.
Basically, most of our mistakes come from action, and most of our actions come from trying to meet a need.
That's right,
So
exactly.
he's asking you to go back to the other form of, go to the place where you're fulfilled and extend that
Yes.
out onto things and take and fill all those needs rather than trying to get your need filled, because it'll never happen.
Exactly. Go to the place within your own mind. Go to your soul. Oh, sorry, you said there's something in me called my soul, the soul. And as a matter of fact, that's what I am. And there's no emptiness there. And there's perfection, and which means no emptiness in it. Then where is it? I'm there. That's where I'm going on my vacation. And I said, where are you going to go after the da-da-da? I'm going to Disney World. I'm going home. I'm going to go to my soul where there is no emptiness, there is no lack, and there is a perpetual and eternal creativity. That even though I can make a shell of myself, I cannot get rid of the creativity in me, in my soul, that God put there. And so no matter what is going on, I still retain the creativity that I need to think about this in a new way, and for sure to respond to it in a new way, and to have a totally new and different experience in this situation that seems impossible. Now that is hopeful to me. That's like, oh, okay, all right, okay, I'm not imprisoned by this, after all. Yes, Michael?
Since we co-created everything, we also have the option of asking and inviting guidance and accepting it
That's right.
at multiple levels through every one of our senses,
That's right.
and that which is beyond all the senses,
Yes,
which most people don't know exists.
exactly. I once heard this study that I thought was really interesting, and it was a while back, and it was, somebody did some research on people in prison who were in prison for theft or something, it wasn't a major crime, but, and then they did this testing, this psychological testing with them, and what they came up with was not their it wasn't like chronically bad, upbringing or, it was, what they found that they had in common was a lack of creativity. And I remember going, that's unusual. You would have thought it had been like they had similar socioeconomic backgrounds or stories or something like that. But it wasn't. There was lack of creativity. I was like, oh, that's right. If I am having a perception of a situation as being impossible, I can't solve it, I'm frustrated, it seems impossible, I'll never get out of this, I'll never break free of this. What that tells me is that it's me unwilling to think creatively about it. I'm just not willing to do it. I'm static and determined to just see it as I have been seeing it and as I hear from the world that I should see it. And that in any situation, if I just go, okay, well, I'm going to start thinking about this more creatively, let me really open my mind and think about it in a new way, that's probably where I'm going to find my resolution, where I go, oh, that's obvious. I could have had a miracle.
Well, when we reach this point, we've already been, quote, trying to think creatively.
Yes.
We're just stuck.
That's how we got
Is
it.
this where we start asking
That's
and
right.
just say, because we need to hear from another source, because
That's exactly right.
what we know already isn't working.
Thank you for saying that. And because the ultimate use of your creativity is to go, God, Holy Spirit, Spirit of healing, Spirit of truth, what's your perception of this situation? How do you see it? What do you see it for? How's it look to you? Now that is the ultimate in using your creativity, because you're going to hear something that you didn't come up with that will work.
So creativity, that was my error,
Yes,
is not from me.
that's right, thank
It
you.
is going back to source.
Yes, that's
Okay.
exactly right.
Could
That's
you say
exactly
that
right.
the ultimate purpose of creativity is the realization that there is no need for creativity?
Maybe, absolutely. I mean,
Because creativity seems like there's a hierarchy at work there, and you're working some way, and then it says projection and all that is a verb, and then a project is a noun, and then the world, and it just seems like that creativity involves like a purpose where you're moving from one place to another. It's just not, it just is.
Well, I tend to see creativity as expressing my soul, or expressing from my soul. So the purpose would be for me for self-expression, and not to make something happen, or even to make something, but just the act of expressing myself, or my soul. You know, like God did. Like God didn't express his creativity into us so that he could have these children and go like, look at my kids. You know, it was just, he, out of his fullness of being, wanted to create more of himself, or wanted to express himself. And so that's,
it seems
you know,
to suggest to me, though, that there is a body involved in that. When you're, in a creativity, you are trying to transcend that body through creativity.
maybe so, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because, and it will help you to transcend your body identity, your body limit identity, because as you make contact with your soul and express what's in it, you are going to learn and experience that you are not your body. You know, because something's going to be coming through you, right, that didn't come from a body. And so, as you express yourself creatively from your soul, then you are going to remember that you're not a body and that you're a soul. And the Course says that's the whole healing of the body. Oh yes, I'm not a body. That's not who I am. That's not my value. That's not my worth. That's not my identity. I'm not limited by it. That when you remember that about the body, now you stop using the body and for purposes it's not well suited for, and then you stop having a grievance with your body, and you stop attacking your body, and hence your body is a healthy, serviceable instrument. So remembering that you're a soul and making contact with the soul in you that there's no emptiness in, and extending into the world from your soul or through your soul creatively is going to be one of your best ways to heal your body. You know, you're like, oh, well, my body's not a limit anymore. And I'm not bored anymore, and I'm not depressed anymore. And so my body feels great. It's got energy. It's, it's not aging prematurely. It's healthy. It's a healthy, serviceable instrument for a while. To be laid down when you don't need it anymore, because you've forgiven. Yes?
When I think about what we're talking about, I feel like if I look at my life and how I experience it, if I'm experiencing that love, that is where we're not empty, because
Yes.
we're filled with the love,
Yeah.
then you could do the same thing over and over again, but still experience it in a creative way if you're experiencing it through the love of God.
That's exactly right.
So
I mean, the love of God is a great synonym for the creativity of God. I mean, the love of God is not a static thing. I mean, look at the universe. The universe is the love of God. And
So
it is-
in my mind, it's not about what we're
Yeah.
doing.
No, it's not. I mean, even if you're doing the same job, but you are experiencing your soul in which there's no emptiness, you're going to be doing that thing creatively. You know, even if it's the same job every day, you'll be doing it creatively, meaning to me, you'll be more productive, you'll be more effective, you'll be more creative, you'll be producing more.
And that sense of co-creation, creation is synonymous with surrender then.
Absolutely. It's, creation is synonymous with surrender, with creativity, with you being yourself. You just being yourself. What are you? You are a soul that God imbued with the same loving will to create and be creative that God has. That's what you are. I'm a soul. I'm a soul. I'm a soul that yearns to be creative because I've been imbued with a loving will, which to me means a loving desire to be creative. You know, it's like, okay, I've been imbued with that. Okay, great. Then how would I like to create my life? How would I like to create my world? How would I like to create, my life and my world? How would I like to do that if I'm imbued with the loving will to create and to extend creatively? That's what leads me to ask myself.
So
Right.
what I see is just telling me what I have created.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And what I've been trying to make was things in the world that I've been trying to make things out of a sense of lack. I've been trying to make things happen and make structures happen and be there because I feel so full of lack. And so I want to make sure there's a body there, and I want to make sure there's a steady job there, and I want to make sure there's enough money there, and I want to make sure there's enough specialness there, and I want to make sure that there's things there that I've made to compensate for the lack that I feel inside myself. Right? If I don't feel like I have enough and I'm not enough, then all I'm going to be making is things to compensate for that feeling, that emptiness, that lack. Right? So there's being creative and creating, and there is making. Then the Course makes a very clear distinction in that. A very clear distinction. There's making things out of a sense of lack, which he calls inventiveness. And he goes, really? Inventiveness is really wasted effort. Because, boy, you have been very inventive. Yes, you have. But he says it's wasted effort. And while you could be creating from the creative soul that you have and experiencing the no lack and the no emptiness that is part of that. So those are my two choices. Okay. All right. So, that's what I got from this section that I didn't get from the edited version. When I read this, I was like, I got a whole new experience and understanding of creativity and my creativity and the connection between my creativity and my special function. Like what I'm here for, what I'm supposed to be doing. And if I'm experiencing emptiness, it has something to do with forgetting that my purpose is to be creating, being creative, and from a place of soul where there is no emptiness. And I got that from this version.
So that's why the world can't fulfill us, because we're not from the world.
That's exactly right.
We have to go.
That's right. You can give love and you can give the expression of your soul to the world lovingly, but you cannot get it from the world. You cannot get fullness from the world. No matter how much the world goes, you're the greatest, we love you, we worship you, it's money, it's the fame. No matter how much, it gives you, you can't ever get that fullness of soul from the world. But you can give it, and when you give it to the world, then you transform your world more into a garden instead of a prison. All right. So then it says, because of the soul's likeness to its creator, the soul is creative. And no child of God can lose this creative ability. No child of God can lose their creative ability. Nobody can lose their creative ability. Nobody. What if their body's sick? Nope. What if they're in prison? Nope. What if they have a mate who doesn't want them to go out? Nope. What if you don't have enough time? Nope. No child of God can lose this creativity of their soul. Okay, good. Why? Because of your likeness, because of your soul's likeness to your Creator. Now, no child of God can lose this creative ability because this creative ability is inherent in what you are. But you can use your creativity inappropriately. Indeed. I would say so.
Then it becomes invention.
That's exactly right. Then it becomes just inventiveness.
It's a reaction to need.
And it's a reaction to need. That's exactly right. It's a reaction form, or reaction formation, as we might say in psychology, to need or lack. It's inventiveness based on the belief in need and lack. Right.
The purpose is to solve your own ego problems in a time space.
Exactly. Instead of how can I express my soul lovingly. Nice. All right. And he says, okay, so when is it that we use our creativity inappropriately? Well, whenever projection is used inappropriately, projection always implies that some emptiness or lack exists and that it is in man's ability to put his own ideas there instead of truth. Okay, so when is it that we're going to use our creativity? When is it we use our creativity inappropriately? When we see some lack present, and then we're going to use our own ideas to fulfill it. Meaning, we're going to choose to be inventive instead of creative. I'm going to use my projection, my creative inappropriately to project. To project what? The fulfillment of a need based on lack. By
So,
becoming inventive.
For me to see a picture of this, I need this mental image to get this. When I'm inappropriate, I just start with me and it goes out.
Yes,
But to do it correctly, I've got to see that line from God to me to out.
yes,
I'm leaving out that from where I came from.
that's right.
Doesn't work. I have to draw that, reconnect that line from me to God for this
That's exactly
out
right.
here to be done.
Thank you. So
But that's with
inappropriate.
everything we do, though. I mean, in every moment,
That's
what
right.
you said, that not just, when you wake up from driving your car to being in the store,
Yes.
flying on a
Exactly.
plane.
Exactly. My lessons these days are like, God is the mind with which I think. God is the strength in which I trust. God is the love in which I forgive. God is my life. It's like, so the inappropriate use of creativity is when I'm going to fill a need with my own ideas and forgetting about source that I myself is an extension of. Right? That's the inappropriate use
In
of
my
it.
mind, I have to think, I need to go backwards before I go forward.
That's exactly right.
Where you hook up.
It's exactly right. And so, now,
But I mean, we get such propaganda pumped at us from little babies.
I know.
Till now,
Osmosis.
how can you
I know.
defeat that?
Well, the Course says if you didn't have the Holy Spirit within you, it would be impossible. But because you do, it's not only possible, but it's done already. So it would be impossible, and there would be no hope for happiness here if it wasn't for the voice for God that God put in us that we can't destroy. that in any second is available to help us be truly creative and to remember our creative power. My power is my creativity.
You know, to affirm what you just said, in many of the readings of men and women who have died that were intellects or scientists or mathematicians, they went, oh God, help me,
Right.
in that last couple of breaths up
That's
there.
right.
But there's that soul of ours that is part of.
That's right. And I loved reading this section, and like,
Out there.
there was something about it, this section was like, it reminded me of the soul that God created that I am, and the souls. And it reminded me about my soul, and the truth about my soul, and its power, its creative power, that I can try to make an empty shell of myself by being uncreative, but I can never destroy that soul and its creative power. I can never destroy it. Why? Because God created it. That's why. I'm sorry. If God created it, you can't destroy it. Right? So, and I love that, because lately I've been just like, oh, it's like it's been reconnecting me with my soul.
I notice when we're confronted with a situation or this, that, you always say, what should I do about this? That's the mistake, is the I. I need to
Yes.
put on mirrors. What should we do about this to remind me to go to source first,
Absolutely.
that I am not alone, and what I do about it will probably be inappropriate and not work.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But if encountering a situation that seems difficult or impossible or scary, you say, source love, what would you have me do? Now, whatever you do after that is going to be very creative. It'll be something you had never thought of, nobody else had ever thought of, and people will be like, wow, you're a genius. Right? Because you are thinking creatively. Right? So really to create really just means to extend. So God created us. What does that mean? That just means He extended. It just means He extended. Do you see the image? He projected, He extended His loving will to create, His creativity. Right? And so our creativity is also just going to be an extension, which means a drawing forth from source and ascending forward.
So all we got to do is start a new habit.
That's right.
Instead of addressing things ourselves
Yes.
first.
That's exactly right.
After a little while, you keep doing that, that will be your new
22
way you
days.
deal with things.
Exactly. That's
22
exactly
days.
right. That's exactly right. Now, he goes on to talk about, he's going to delineate how the separation could have occurred. Okay? So, how could the separation why? You know, we were one with God, having such a good time, in the pre-separation state of no need or lack. How? Why? How? I hear that all the time, but how? Why? How would we have separated, or could we have separated? He actually does a 4-point explanation of how the separation occurred. Okay? Now, how did the detour interfere occur? Okay? So, I want you to hear what he's saying about how it occurred, you know, from the pre-separation state, but I also want you to also hear how it is that you created the problem you've got tonight. Okay? So, how did I get this problem? How did it happen? How? Right? So, this is the steps by which your problem came into being. Okay? It's also the stages or the steps by which the detour interfered, the separation, the fall occurred. Okay? So use it metaphysically and also practically. And he says, if you consider carefully what this entails, the following will become apparent. Okay? First, the first thing that happened before the fall or the separation or this problem is, the assumption is implicit that what God created can be changed by the mind of man.
But there's our free will.
That's right. Okay. First thing that had to have happened to get me in this jam is that I believe that what God created could be changed by me because I wanted it otherwise. I didn't like it. And just because I don't like it, oh, well, we're going to change it. So the belief that I can change eternal life, so to speak, into something that dies, that's my first mistake. The belief that I could change me, what God created, into something else. Now I'm what I think I am, right? All right, and that's the first stage in this problem. I believed that I can change reality according to what I would like it to be today. And yes, that'll change in the next 5 minutes, but still, I am believing that I can change reality for it to be what I want it to be right now. Wow. First you assume that what love created can be changed by you, your mind. Wow. Okay, so that's the first. That's the first wrong step down is the bad path. That's the first step down to hell.
Are these the crazy mad ideas?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the Course another way the Course explains the detour into fear, the fall, the separation, was a tiny mad idea crossed the soul's mind that God had extended that we, the soul, forgot to laugh at. And these are the ideas. These are the tiny mad ideas. An idea floated across our mind that went, hey, you know, the reality that God created is eternal, it's all love and no lack. Let's change it. It's changed because I would like to see some lack today. Right? And then we didn't laugh at that. We didn't go, that's a good one. That's funny, changing the way God created reality to be just to fit your grievance for today. Ooh, that's a good one, yeah. Yeah, that'll take you far. Right? That's the first one that we forgot to laugh at. Second belief we forgot to laugh at, which got us in this jam, is the idea that what is perfect can be rendered imperfect or wanting is accepted. Wow. The second crazy idea that we forgot to fall down on the floor laughing at is that we could render what is perfect, what is not lacking, into something that is wanting, where there's a lack. That we could turn, what is perfect, meaning no emptiness, into something that could be wanting. Wow. Here's the universe of love. Here's reality. No lack, no emptiness, aka perfect. And I am now going to see the world as where lack is real. Lack is real. Lack is real. Okay, that's the second one. In this universe that's perfect and no lack, I can change it into something where lack is real. All right.
It sounds like the Course is always talking about time. Mm-hmm. This is our invention of time. The first one, we thought we could take the eternal and make it temporary.
That's right.
And all lacks, if you look at any of your lacks, it has to do with, well, I need it by a certain time.
That's all
this
about
will
that.
only last so long. You know, it's always time-based.
It's a whole world based on lack. Time and space. What is time and space? Limits. What's the body ruled by? Time and space. Limits. Lack, right? Okay, so the first one is that I can change what God established and turn reality into what I'd like it to be today. Second one is that I can change a universe of no lack into lack being real. And the third belief that I accepted that got me into this jam is the belief that you can distort what God created, including yourself. Wow. That you can change the souls God created, including yourself. Wow. The idea that you can change yourself. That's interesting. Ooh, I thought I could change myself. Yeah, that's the problem. You thought you could change yourself. I believe I've changed myself. I believe I can change myself. God created me this way. I believe I can change myself and make myself something different. You know, like something imperfect, something failing, something dysfunctional, something broken, something mortal, something fallible, something sinful.
Does the third one have to do with perception? I mean, the first
Yes.
two, I'm changing reality, but that last one, distort, means just kind of change how I see it.
Absolutely.
It's really,
Yeah,
that's where perception came in.
exactly. And to me, this is the third one's like the mistake I'm making with myself and others, you know, personally. Like, I believe that I can change you, and I believe that I can change myself. And that's why I'm so darn insecure. Have a little wee bit of lack of confidence in myself. Because I think that I've changed myself from something maybe great to something not so great, something empty, something lacking. And I also am now afraid of every situation and every relationship and every encounter because I'm afraid that maybe it will change me for the worse. Like, what if they reject me and that will change me into something rejectable? What if they don't hire me for the job? Well, that could change me and make me rejectable, less desirable professionally, right? So if I believe that I can change the souls of God, the creations of God, including myself, I can't help to ever have a real sense of self-esteem. I can't ever feel real confidence. Maybe fake confidence with a little caffeine, thank you caffeine, but not real confidence, not lasting confidence. Because I think I can change the creation of God into something worse or better.
So do those two beliefs come together? When I believe I can change something, I believe I can be changed
That's exactly right.
by something out there.
That's exactly right. And every time I judge, and every time I hold a grievance, then I am believing that I can change the creation of God according to my whim. Ew. When you say it like that, it makes me want to stop judging. Makes me want to stop sharing my interpretation of people to others when that person's not there. AKA judging. Okay, and so the fourth mistake that's responsible for the separation, the detour, or this problem now is the idea that you can create yourself and that the direction of your own creation is up to you. I'm a self-made woman. I made myself. The idea that you've created yourself, that you came from yourself. Right? I made myself. I'm what I make. I made myself. Wow. And he says, and that the direction of your creation is up to you. Wow. Now, I make myself into what I am. I make myself into what I am. I've made myself into what I am. I created myself. The authority problem. He said, that's the fourth idea that crossed your mind, that you were like, that's that's an interesting idea. Yeah, I've been created perfect, no lack, no separation, no death, no limits, but maybe some limits would be nice. Maybe I'll just make myself my own way with some limits. Yeah, limits. I think that's the way to go. Yeah, I'm going to create myself, I can create myself as I want, and I'm going to create myself limited, mortal, fallible, and full of sin. Yeah, I'm going to make it so I'm born into it. Aha. And that was an idea that crossed our mind, the mind of the soul, that we forgot to fall down on the floor laughing at. And still do not find funny at all. Someday we will be laughing at that. All right, but not tonight. Not tonight.
Objectively, they all say the same thing.
That's exactly right. They all say that what is reality is up to me to decide, and I am the author of reality, and I am the author of myself, and the way I see it is the way it is. Amen. And anybody who contradicts me, well, they're not my friend. I don't like them. Okay. He says, these related distortions represent a picture of what actually occurred in the separation. Oh, just in case you were wondering, that's how it happened. It was a mental state. It wasn't an actual literal fall or ejection out of the Garden of Eden. It was a distortion. It was a mental distortion. We just saw things distortedly and believed it. Okay? He says, these related distortions represent a picture of what actually occurred in the separation. None of these distortions existed before the separation, nor do these distortions actually exist now. Oh, good. My distortions don't exist now? Okay. That would be nice. The world was made as a, quote, natural, grand division, or a projecting outward of God. Oh, I love that. What was the world? I projected God out. Oh, that's how it happened. Instead of knowing myself as an extension of God, still connected to God, still in God, I projected God out. God's out there. He's out there, he's on a cloud, and he doesn't see me because I'm too small. He's out. The world was made as a natural grand division or a projecting outward of God. Oh, that's how it happened. I projected, that was the other lie that I didn't laugh at. God, there was the idea, oh, God's outside. He's out there, outside of me. And I forgot to laugh at that. How could that be? He says, that is why everything that God created is like him. Projection as undertaken by God is very similar to the kind of inner radiance which the children of the Father inherit from him. And it is important to note that the term, quote, project outward, necessarily implies that the real source of projection is internal. And this is as true of the Son as it is of the Father. Okay, so I like that. So we were talking about creation being God extending himself or projecting his creativity forth, right? He's saying that really another way to understand the creativity or the creation is that this is how God creates. He radiates. Oh, okay. So instead of projecting out, like we have learned to do, God radiates. And that is where his extension comes from. To say God extended himself is to say God radiated himself internally. He radiated himself from internal. So it's an internal radiation and not a nuclear one, okay? So it's like, so that's, he says, this is also how we do it. This is how he says, projection as undertaken by God is very similar to the kind of inner radiance which we inherit from Him. Okay, so how is it that we create? How is it that we be creative as we were created to be? Just like God does, an inner radiance. Oh, okay, nice. So an inner radiance is how you experience yourself creatively. And it's how you create. You radiate something from inside yourself. That's how God does it. That's how God created you. He radiated you from inside Himself. Isn't that beautiful?
That radiance, that's, the connotation there is of light.
Exactly.
It cannot be stopped.
Yes.
If you get in touch with your light, it is going out to
Yes.
everywhere.
Yes.
You can't hold it in.
Exactly. You can't hold it in.
Your extension will happen if you get in touch with your inner radiance.
Exactly. And if you make contact with your soul, the soul that God created, and all you have to do from there is just, if you make contact with it and experiencing it, you're going to be radiating from inside yourself. And as you are radiating from inside yourself, you're going to be extending your creativity, you're going to be extending yourself creatively into the universe. And hence, you will not experience emptiness or lack. Wow. Okay, that's so beautiful. Okay. So, let's stop here for tonight, shall we? Okay. And let's do our expression of financial appreciation. Thank you for your expressions of financial appreciation. And a couple announcements, and then we'll go on to our integration meditation. So my announcement is that I have started a meditation and world prayer class every Wednesday. Okay, I've got flyers here. The purpose of this class is to teach us together how to train our mind to focus, how to train the mind to focus, how to discipline the mind and focus the mind, and once we've done that, to extend our creativity out for the healing of the planet. Okay, so it's twofold. I want to pray for the planet, because rumor has it that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, since I'm a part of it, and so that's a part of it. And the other part of it is learning how to train the mind to focus on what? Going within. Why? To go to light's source, which happens to be your soul. So it's being able to focus the mind so that the mind can learn how to go within in a focused way, a disciplined way, and then extending from your soul creatively for the purpose of healing the planet, meaning waking the planet. Okay? Now, if it is true that there is no separation, then that means that the planet is us and we are the planet, planet is us, right? If we are one, if there is no separateness, what does that mean? That means the planet that seems to be out there is really in here. And so this is my opportunity to teach us how to do that in a more consistent way so that we can have it as a habit, so that that's the way we think, and that's the way we are being and automatically healing the planet as one with us. Does that sound practical at all? Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm here, I guess I may as well pray for the world, right? The teacher of God is generous out of self-interest. Like, I'm here on earth, and so is my child and my loved ones. So I think that I am going to pray for here, in remembrance that it is me. I am one with it. We are one, right? As you know, like, what if you achieve enlightenment here, but you're still in a war-torn lack-filled planet. Yeah, that's nice, you're lying, but you're still here. That's nice, I'm very happy for you that you're enlightened, you know, and you are here. Right, yes.
There are some mystics, as myself, who've made promises that we will not accept being off of the wheel until everyone is realized.
Yes,
So it doesn't always go that way.
exactly. I mean, the Course does say that as long as a single slave walks the earth, your freedom is not complete.
Exactly.
Oh, well, okay. So I want to do my part, and I would like people to help me to have that consistency and that discipline. That's why I have to teach a class on it. So that's every Wednesday. If you're interested, there's flyers on the piano. Take one with you. And if you're going to come, please RSVP me. Please let me know, as soon as you know. And you can RSVP me asking for an address. I'm not putting the address on my flyer. Okay? All right.
Next week.
And next week, I will not be here. I'm going to be in Mexico. Praying for y'all.
Where? Where in
Yeah,
Mexico
okay.
are you going?
Playa del Carmen.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great scuba.
Yeah,
Yes.
beautiful beach.
Thank you. Yes, so I will be there doing it for y'all. Okay, so when I'm there on the beach, I'm going to remember that I am doing this for y'all who I'm with, okay? Because I want to enhance my pleasure in the moment. So do you mind if I use you like that? Do you mind?
No.
Because everything is an idea, and the more who believe in it, the stronger the idea becomes. So if I join with you and remember you and my pleasure, then what happens to my pleasure? See how self-serving I am?
Oh, there will be class.
And there will be class. Yes,
It
and Jim will be
will.
doing class, and as you all know, Jim does a great class. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim, truly. All right. Okay, and then don't forget to go to my website, kujawa.com, to learn about my holistic counseling practice. All right. So now, shall we do our integration meditation? Let us integrate. The purpose of the integration meditation is to allow what we've heard to go from here and to deepen, and to allow it to sink deeply into your mind, where you need it. All right. I love it. This comes from a CD called Nirvana Lounge. Isn't that great? Come on over here to my Nirvana Lounge. We're gonna lounge in Nirvana. Yeah. All right. So I want you to just close your eyes and breathe. And just tune in to how you feel having heard these ideas. Beautiful. Now I want you to bring to your awareness an area of life right now where you feel stuck, where you feel bored, or where you feel frustrated by the impossibility, the seeming impossibility of the situation. And I want you to tell yourself the truth about it, which is, I am upset because I think that I have changed reality and changed myself into something that love didn't create. then holding that situation in mind, I want you to also tell yourself the truth that we heard tonight, which is, I am suffering because of my perception and my belief in lack, that I use this to try to compensate for. I made this situation out of my belief in lack. And now I'm upset because I think that I've changed myself for the worse. And I think I've changed others for the worse. I think I can change myself from being eternally creative and all-powerful in my creativity to something broke and powerless and limited and mortal. And now I want you to, keeping the situation in mind, I want you to ask your loving right mind for the correction of these beliefs that you're realizing got you into this jam. Ask for the correction of these beliefs. Spirit, I ask for the correction of my belief that I can render creation lacking. This belief that I can make lack in a universe where no lack exists. Ask for the correction of that belief. And now I want you to take your awareness and imagine it sinking deeply into your mind with the intent of tuning into or connecting with your soul, or the soul that God created. Tune your mind deeply, tune your awareness deeply into your mind, looking to experience no lack, no need, an experience within you where there's no lack within you. This is your soul. Your soul is the you that is perfect, in which there is no lack, and so there is no need. Make contact. Look for that and make contact with it. Call to it if you need to. And breathe your soul in, or breathe the soul in. Breathe it in. Feel it. Imagine this soul in you radiating, radiating a golden light. Imagine your soul radiating with its fullness. It's so full, full of light, full of everything, full of life, full of creativity, full of joy, full of aliveness. And feel it radiating from you. And breathe. And let your soul radiate even more with the idea, I let all things be exactly as they are. I let all creation be exactly as it is. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, just bring your awareness back to the room, back to your body, sitting in this chair, in this place.
Thank you.
Yummy. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for going on that journey with all of us here. Thank you. See you next time I see you.
So here's one.